Where is my screen? Huh?
The three,
So
yeah.
if you go to that arrow thing in the middle.
Yeah. Okay. I think every time I have to do it again because sometimes I come out to do something and when I get back, I need to do it again.
Mhm.
Let me check.
There it is.
Great.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm ready.
Wonderful. We'll just give people a few minutes to
Okay,
sign in. And I got a last request for the link, so I'm going to take care of last minute request. That.
Today is Good Friday, right?
It is.
It is. I had just muted my microphone.
Oh,
So I figured as more people were coming, I probably should mute it until I need to introduce you.
okay. I have to shut a little bit of, it's too loud. Wait a second. My computer is too loud on my side. Can you speak a little bit? And I want to test my earphone and.
I'm talking now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good.
And
Good.
it's not too loud. Thank you. And no.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the voice quality and video quality from you is great.
Okay, good.
At least on my end.
Yeah. Look, I root for CSU with green color. Can you see the PPT now?
No.
Oh, I have to, yeah,
Right.
every time I get out, I have to reshare
Right.
again.
And that might be okay while we're doing introductions. And then as Karen's introducing you, maybe you can switch.
Okay.
That way people will have a face to go with your presentation. Yeah.
So when I show my slide, can you see my face? Or
No, no, just
No.
your sides.
Yeah, but there must be somewhere in this program that.
You can see it, but it's minimized. It's small.
Oh.
So I could still
Okay.
see your video image, but it's just down below. But if there are a lot of images, then not everybody sees everything, but usually they do see the person who's talking. So probably
Okay.
people will be able to see you as sort of a mini you while you're talking, but the main screen will be the slides.
Okay.
And actually, you're right, Karen. That's what happened when we did the practice on Wednesday, but I was in a different view now, so I could see who had checked in. I think let's give people one more minute and we'll get going.
Okay, I have no idea whether you can see my face or not, but can you see my slides right now?
I see your slides and I also see your face minimized as Karen described. Yes.
Okay, good. Then I think that's the ideal way to do this.
I do too. I do too. That's nice. Okay. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I'm ready.
Wonderful. Welcome everybody to our Friday HDFS speaker series. I am so grateful to have Dr. Lay present to us today, and Karen Barrett is going to introduce her. I just wanted to take a moment to first thank you all for helping us continue learning and sharing as a scholarly community and joining us today. And if you don't mind, if you haven't done so already, please check and make sure that your mic is muted during the major part of the presentation, and your video too, if at all possible. This will help the quality of the presentation come through better from what we're telling with other Microsoft Teams experiences. And then at the end, when Dr. Lay is ready for questions and answers, you can indicate you have a question on chat, and then I'll name you so that you can have your question time. So Dr. Barrett, are you ready?
I am. I guess I'll unmute my video too.
Great,
so that
and I'm going to mute mine.
You can see me present her. So I'm very pleased to present Dr. Keng-Ling Lay, who is a visiting scholar here with both a Fulbright and a grant from her government to visit here. Dr. Lay's background is in social and emotional development, and particularly a lot of her work is in mastery motivation and attachment. And she studied for both her master's and her PhD under Dr. Everett Waters at Stony Brook. And as many of you know, he's one of the most well-regarded attachment researchers who studied as an undergraduate with Ainsworth. So very good background, and she is now associate professor in the Department of Psychology at National Taiwan University, which is regarded as the best university in Taiwan. So Dr. Lay is doing some research here on mastery motivation with a cross-national study of a Q-sort method for getting at mastery motivation, but specifically what she's focused on is the ideal way that one manifests it in Taiwan and the US. However, today's presentation, she is not going to be presenting on that research, which is still ongoing, but rather an evaluation study that she did in Taiwan with a really interesting socio-emotional learning intervention. So Dr. Lay, I will hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Karen and Lisa. It is my honor to have a talk in this department during such a difficult timing and situation. I came here in August 2019 to collaborate with Karen on the research she just said about concerning the cultural comparison of the idealization of the best way for young children to deal with cognitive challenges. However, after I came to this department, I realized that intervention is such a main interest of many of the faculty and graduate students in this department. So I decided to introduce another line of research of mine in recent years. That is to evaluate the most prevalent social emotional learning program in Taiwan. This program was designed for 5th and 6th graders by Taiwan Happiness Village Emotion Education Association. We call it VIA. It is a school-based program and consists of 4 themes. They are emotional regulation, self-concept, peer interaction, and communication. Peer interaction and communication and problem solving. I translate the 4 themes verbatim and listed in this table. Each theme comprises 8 hours of class sessions that are dispersed over 1 semester. Although it is a school-based program, it's actually implemented not by school teachers, but by parents and community members. who have completed the instructor training program and successfully passed the screening procedure. That is, community partnership is fully endorsed and manifested. And we will talk about this little more later. This is the outline of today's talk. I'll first introduce the current scale of this program. Then I want to spend some time to introduce the story behind this program, because it is not a curriculum designed to elites. It was more a grassroots endeavor. Thirdly, I will give you some examples of the curricula and show you how this program has applied psychological theories and research. Then I will introduce how VIA get the parents and local community members to involve in the implementation of this program. Finally, I will introduce my own research, that is the evaluation of VIA's curricula. I will first introduce the current scale of this program. Let me give you a view of Colorado and Taiwan. Colorado is 7 times larger than Taiwan. And Colorado population is only a quarter of Taiwan's population. Taiwan's fertility rate nowadays is in the lowest tier of the world. In 2019, less than 3 times of the new babies in Colorado were born in Taiwan. As you compare the population and the new babies, you'll know that the meaning of this. In the school year of 2018 to 19, 77,000 children took the SEL curricula designed by VIA. That is approximately 1/5 of the same age children, that is the 5th grader and 6th grader in Taiwan, are in this SEL program. In the past 15 years, more than 500,000 school children were included in this program. Next, I will tell you the story behind this SEL program and explain why I just said that this is not a program designed for children of elite family. This is a picture of Beitou Hot Spring Village, located in the suburban area of Taipei City, and is famous for its natural scenery, with dormant volcano nearby and sulfur spring all over this place. The meaning of Beitou in Aboriginal language is witch. Maybe it is because of the smoke and the smell of sulfur spring throughout this village. During Japanese occupation in Taiwan, the Japanese recognized the value of the village as a resort and constructed a Japanese inn with hot mineral spring provided by the sulfur springs. By early 20th century, Beitou boasted a thriving upscale hot spring and entertainment scene, completed with geishas, which, as you now see in the pictures, that is Japanese women wearing their traditional outfit with heavy makeup and entertain male customers with traditional songs and dances. There are about 70 to 80 such places in this small village at the end of World War II. After the Japanese colonial occupation come to an end, the KMT, the defeated Chinese government, flee from mainland China to Taiwan, and the hot spring hotel were preserved, and Beitou was designated as a legalized red light district. This is the cover of Time magazine right before Christmas, 1967. If you are old enough, you must be able to recognize the figure in this cartoon drawing. He is Bob Hope, who was a famous Hollywood star, often had Christmas appearance in Vietnam to entertain American troops. Although the title of that issue is over here, Christmas in Vietnam, many American soldiers did not stay in Vietnam during their vacation. They chose Taiwan as their getaway spot. This is a picture inside that Time magazine issue, which was taken in Beitou. The prostitution in Beitou was finally outlawed in 1979, a couple of years after the end of the Vietnam War, after which the economic situation of Beitou went into sharp decline, and stayed that way for many years. In 1995, a group of students from Gifted and Talented program in Beito Elementary School went for a local field research. They accidentally found this abolished building. They made some historical digging and found this building was built in 1913. It was once a Japanese officers' club, and even our nation's founding father, Dr. Sen Sei, stayed in this place when he visited Taiwan. With the help of their teacher and local intellectuals, these school children wrote petition to Taipei city government to renovate the building. By 1998, the historical building was remodeled into Beito Hot Spring Museum. This also marks the starting point of the reborn of the Beito village. The action also inspired local residents to create Beito Community Association. The members of the association were mostly local residents who have been living in this area for generations. One of their starting efforts to rebuild, to develop and empower Beito community was by organizing summer camp for local disadvantaged children. Thankful one of the members in the Beito Community Association, Li Rong is my good friend from college and an alumni of Psychology Department, National Taiwan University, which is also Heidi Zheng, and myself, alma mater. Li Rong invited some clinical child psychologists working in the Taipei Veteran General Hospital that is located in the vicinity of Beito to join this task force. That's how VIA's program began and gradually became a set of standardized curricula. On a final note, over the past 20 years, Beito has gradually been reborn and become a very famous tourist attraction nowadays. Okay, the above is how VIA started in the first place. Next, I'll tell you what kind of curricula this task force has developed for the local children and later spread out to different schools and different cities in Taiwan. I have brought a textbook. Actually, I want to show you. If you can see, this is the real textbook. The CDs and the homework pamphlet, I all brought them from Taiwan to show you, yet I can now only show you in front of the camera. These are the 4 themes in this program. That is emotional regulation, self-esteem, and self-worth, communication skill and peer interaction, and problem-solving proficiency. The content of the program has utilized all kinds of psychological theory and research findings. I will now show you how the meaning of perspective taking is taught in the classroom. Forgive me with the following noisy sound because it was built in the course material. It is exactly how the materials are presented in an SEL classroom. Okay, this is a famous picture in many of the introductory psychology textbook. The instructor will first lead children to see there are 2 images, that is an old lady and a young lady in one picture. Then children will start to experience themselves. Okay, let's start. Then the instructor will say, now I will play a game of guess who I am. Children sitting on my right side, please turn about and face the back of this classroom. Children sitting on my left side, please remember what you are going to see. Yet you should not make any sound or say anything about what you've seen. Okay, now, what you've seen, the picture, it is since you have seen the picture, it is your turn to turn about facing the back of the classroom. Okay, children on my right side, it is now your turn. Please turn about and face the screen. Okay, please remember the following picture. Yet you should not make any sound or say anything about what you've seen. Okay, children, on my left side, now you can turn about and face the screen. Then the instructor asks the entire class, okay, children, could you tell me what you've just seen? So children noisily discuss, and then the instructor says, okay, children on my right side saying you just saw a frog. Children on my left side are saying you just saw a horse. So you have some different pictures. let's share what we all have seen. What you have seen was actually one picture of two different directions. Then the instructor said, what did this tell us? Then lead to children to discuss. And finally, the instructor will let children reflect on the thought that when people face same situation, exactly the same situation, they may have different perspectives. Let's try this from another angle. Okay, children sit at the front rows. Please turn about and face the back of the classroom. Children sitting at the back row, please remember what you are going to see and keep your mouth shut. Okay, now that you have seen this picture, it is your turn to turn about, facing the back of the classroom. Okay, children at the front row, it is now your turn. Please turn about and face the screen. Please remember what you are going to see and keep your mouth shut. Children sitting at the back row, now you can turn about again. Okay, everybody, tell me what this symbol stands for. And children become to have noisy discussion, and the instructor says, children at the back rows are saying you just saw a bee. Children at the front rows are saying you just saw number 13. How come you people have different answers? Let's share what we all have seen. What you all have seen was actually one symbol embedded in different contexts. Children at the back row saw A, B, and C. Children at the front row saw 12, 13, and 14. That's why you made different inference about what the symbol is. What did this tell us? Leading to children's discussion, and then eventually the instructor will say something like, even when people have faced the same situation, they may have different perspectives because they have different prior experiences before this event. After these two examples, the instructor will then give some more examples easily happen in children's daily life to discuss the meaning of perspective taking. Okay, this is one example of how they present in the class. Next, I'll talk about how the idea of community partnership is implemented in this program. VIA's SEL program is school-based, but is implemented not by teachers, but by adults, volunteers in the communities. For example, parents, retired school teachers, retired business executives, and so on. The volunteer have to complete the instructor training program and pass the subsequent screening and certification procedure before they can become instructors. VIAS offers instructor training program upon request. If the school and the parents are interested in installing this program in the school curricula, then the parent association of a particular elementary school can contact VIA, and VIA will then offer instructor training workshops in the vicinity. Once the parent association in a particular school has recruited enough certified SEL instructors from the local community, and the school officials are willing to provide 8 hours of class sessions in each semester, VIA would then formally start to implement the curricula in this particular school. This screen is downloaded from VIA's webpage. In March to May 2019, they offer 9 workshops in different areas of Taiwan. Each workshops lasts for 8 to 9 weeks, 3 hours per week, and covers one theme of the curricula. There were more than 3,000 community members participated in the workshop just in last year. Many of them may have attended 2 or more, or even 4 workshops that cover different themes of this curricula. Over the past 15 years, there were 25,000 adults attended the workshop. Course participants who have finished VIA's instructor training program are not automatically qualified to teach. Each candidate needs to go through a standardized procedure of classroom observation, live practices, and screening before he or she can be formally certified as an SEL instructor. Although many interested parents and community members participated in the instructor training program, relatively few of them could pass a serious evaluation and became certified SEL instructor. However, those class participants often form a very strong supporting system in the community to promote children as well as their families' social emotional competence. For your information, I had nothing to do with the development of the implementation of this program. Over the years, the number of schools that have adopted the SEL program has been increasingly surging, mainly through word-of-mouth recommendation. Of course, there are also voices asking about the real effect of this program. One day in spring 2019, I was woken up by a phone call from my college good friend Leo, asking if I can be an independent researcher to objectively evaluate this increasing popular SEL program. I decided to take over the job because of the following reasons. The first, of course, it's possible probability. Then it is because the VS program is standardized from the content of its course and activities to the training and certification of the instructors. And finally, this program is such a good example of community partnership, which is essential for boosting children's change from themselves to their daily environment, but usually absent in many other SEL programs. So I will first outline our research design in how we collected the data, and then I will introduce 4 studies conducted by my research team. The mission of our endeavor are threefold. The first one, we want to know whether children's social emotional competence has improved after they participate in the curriculum. So we compare their pre-test and post-test score and using the improvement score as the outcome variable. Secondly, we want to know whether the improvement is due to SEL program itself or just the result of children's maturation across time. So we use intervention group and control group. And thirdly, I want to introduce 2 Chinese proverbs telling people do not give aid and assistance to those who are already well off. That means 锦上添花, that's icing on the cake. But to those who are underprivileged, we said it as a 雪中送炭, means sending charcoals in snowy weather. Therefore, we also collect some background data of the children and their family and see if underprivileged children can also benefit from this program. Okay, this graph gives a thorough review of the procedure of data collection. The green color words are the 4 curricula dispersed in 4 semesters, and data were collected for 6 times across the 2-year period. At the start of the 4th semester of 5th grade, at the start of spring semester of 5th grade, at the end of 5th grade, and over the summer at the start of the 5th grade, and at the start of the spring semester of the 6th grade, and at the end of 6th grade. That is, we will have pre-test and post-test data for each theme of the curricula. And by the way, to prevent from the fatigue effect, we limited the number of items that children take for each time, for each wave, less than 100 items. So we did not administer each measurement for 6 times. Rather, we only make sure that there are both pre-test and post-test results for each outcome variable. More than 1,000 children participated. Some might have only attended some waves of data collection, so we later used missing data imputation to analyze the data. The numbers shown here are the sample size for each wave. And at the end of sixth wave, there were still more than 600 children and more than 400 parents in the intervention group and 77 children and 59 parents in the control group. As you can see, we have a very hard time to find people who are willing to participate in control group since it's a well-known program. So everybody wants to be in that group. Okay. Matching with each theme of the curricula, we collect data on children's emotional intelligence, self-concept, peer adjustment, and problem-solving skills as the outcome variable of the study. And we also collect these data to know about the background of the children and their families in order to test the charcoal hypothesis and the icing hypothesis. Next, let me introduce the analysis and findings. The goal of study 1 is to evaluate the intervention effect and also to check using parenting style and attachment relationship to test the charcoal hypotheses and the icing hypothesis. To this end, we use the data collected in the first wave and the third wave. In between, children have taken first 2 themes of the VIAS program. And other than the intervention group and over here and the control group over here, we created another intervention group. Participants in this second intervention group were from the first group, but they were individually picked to match with the control group in terms of children's sex, academic performance, parental educational level, and city of residence. The outcome variables is parents' evaluation of children's emotional intelligence, including their appraisal and expression of emotion, their regulation of emotion, and also their thought about emotion. We use the term as utilization of emotion. The moderator variables are parents' self-report of their parenting style and children's report of their attachment relationship with their parents. Let's see the result. The first one is whether children's emotional intelligence actually improve after they have taken the 2 curricula. We used match group comparison. After controlling for the differences of pre-test score, children interventions program show higher ability in appraisal and expression of emotion and higher ability of regulation of emotion. That's their improvement. Scores higher. Then we want to check whether children with different family background benefit from VIAS SEL program differently. We use hierarchical regression analysis on children in intervention group, and these are the predictor of different steps, and these are the 3 subscales of the emotional intelligence scale. Firstly, we found children who had lower score before they attended the program indeed improved more after the intervention, supporting the charcoal hypothesis. Then we check whether parenting style and attachment relationship can predict children's level of improvement after taking the curricula. We found children with the authoritative parents, that means parents are accepting, warm, and giving reasonable control, improve more in all 3 aspects of emotional intelligence, supporting the icing hypothesis. Finally, the interaction effect has the same trend, showing charcoal effect on the pre-test score and the icing effect of children's family relationship. In conclusion, study 1 not only shows significant positive effect of VIA's first 2 curricula, but also indicate that children from a family with adaptive parent-child relationship is more likely to benefit from VIA's program. Oops. In study 2 and study 3, we again want to investigate whether children improve after the program and test the charcoal versus icing hypothesis. And we also want to know where there are maintenance effects after the program has been implemented for a while. Therefore, we modeled children's growth trajectory before and after the intervention. Okay, so in study 2, we want to check the effect of the second theme of VIA's program. Therefore, we analyzed the self-concept data collected 6 months before, immediately after, and 6 months after the implementation of the self-concept curriculum. That's wave 1, 2, 3, and 5. With missing data imputation, there were more than 1,000 children in this data set. We use Susan Harter scale, and it consists of 6 subscales, including scholastic competence, social competence, athletic competence, physical appearance, behavioral conduct, and global self-worth. We use multi-group ALT modeling. The multi-group refers to children with different initial state. That is 1 SD higher than the mean, and the 1 SD lower than the mean. In wave 1, we separate children of their self-concept score according to their wave 1 score. We adopted autoregressive latent trajectory modeling because we assume the intervention group and the control group should have the same parameters concerning latent growth trajectory. Just that receiving SEL's curriculum may serve as a perturbation factor for the intervention program. Thus, the freely estimated autoregressive coefficient would be different for the 2 groups. Well, you don't have to understand what I've just talked in the last slide. You can still easily understand this graph. There are 3 groups of children with different initial state of their self-perception of social competence. As you can see, the intervention group shows higher estimated means after the intervention over here and here. The intervention is over in this here, and this is wave 1, 2, 3, 4. And we test the slope, okay, between each wave, between the adjacent waves of the data collection. And we test the difference of the estimated means of the intervention group and the control group at each time point. Right after the curriculum, scores in the social competence significantly increase for the intervention group, but not for the control group. There's no stars for the second line. But no matter the child's initial status of social competence, they all improve after the curriculum. However, about 6 months later, their scores significantly degraded for the upper group. Nevertheless, even after 6 months of the intervention program, these children's score was still significantly higher over here than the control group, supporting both the charcoal and the icing hypothesis. That means no matter whether they initially have high social competence or low social competence, they all improve after this program in terms of social competence. Okay, now let me show you the dimension of behavioral conduct. Children's self-concept of behavioral conduct in the intervention group maintained. Okay, the intervention group is here. Maintained. And did not deteriorate after the intervention. Okay, the intervention group is always on the top. Okay, by contrast, no matter their initial state was high or low, self-concept of behavioral conduct from children in the control group deteriorated when they are in the first semester of 6th grade and significantly lower than the intervention group over here. Okay, this pattern is like the self-concept curriculum did not facilitate anything. But because the intervention group is higher than the control group at the end, we think that maybe like self-concept curriculum has planted a seed on these children when they enter 6th grade, when there are when there are more environmental distractions, they are psychologically stronger to resist this these distractions. Okay, if we look at for the global self-worth, if we look at the control group, children's global self-worth in general elevated in the first semester of the 5th grade and stayed that way until the end of 6th grade. Okay, the control group is here. Okay, no significant difference in terms of the slope of the control group. However, children with initially higher or medium global self-worth, they benefit from the program because after the program they increased. And after 6 months, they significantly decrease, but still they are marginally a little bit higher than the control group at the end of the very end of our last assessment of this variable. Incidentally, there was no significant result for the other 3 subscales of scholastic competence, athletic competence, and physical appearance. Okay, these 3 variables, it's maybe more superficial. I mean, in terms of their grades, in terms of their appearance, in terms of their athletic competence, the program didn't help the children at all. Okay, even after 6 months of the implementation of SEL program, the intervention group still shows significantly better in terms of social competence, behavioral conduct, and slightly better global self-worth than the control group. And also the benefits were applied to children with different initial level of self-perceptions, so that support both charcoal and icing hypotheses. Okay, the goal of study 3 is pretty much the same as study 2, just that the curriculum in test is the 3rd theme of communication and peer relationship. Okay, in the study 3, we want to check the effect of peer relationship program. So therefore, we analyze the social adjustment data collected 9 months before, 3 months before, immediately after, and 3 months after the implementation of the peer relationship curriculum. That's wave 1, 3, 5, and 6. Again, with missing data imputation, there were more than 1,000 children in the data set. We asked children to report their own friendship, social skills of making friends, popularity, if they are aggressive, if they tend to get mad of people or feeling intimidated, if they are easily the target of the bullies, and if they feel lonely. The rationale and design of the statistical analysis is pretty much the same as in study 2. After the implementation of the curriculum over here, in terms of victimization tendency, the intervention group were significantly lower than the control group. As you can see, this is the intervention group, this is the intervention group, and over here is the control group. Okay, the control group, especially those started with higher tendency of those easily being teased and bullied, this tendency elevated over time. Okay, especially for those. Okay, and they were higher than the intervention group. Okay, although the victimization tendency did not decrease after they took the curriculum for the intervention group, and for the high victimization group, the tendency significantly elevated after a while. Okay, but at the end of our assessment, still the main difference showed that the control group's victimization tendency maintained significantly higher than the intervention group. Okay, about the aggression tendency, we really like to find, we wish that we could find that this program can help make sure that like decrease children's aggression tendency? Well, because the proactive and reactive aggression tendency belong to the same factor after we conduct the factor analysis. So we combined these two subscales and made it a new variable called aggression tendency. And after the intervention, we found children with high initial aggressive tendency continue to elevate their aggression tendency no matter they have taken the SEL curriculum or not. Okay, and children in the low group decrease their aggression tendency toward the end of the 6th grade, no matter they have attended the program or not. So in conclusion, actually, after the implementation of the curriculum, the third curriculum, aside from the subscale of victimization, the level of aggression tendency, along with other indicators, for example, loneliness, popularity, and so on, in the intervention program, were not significantly better than those in the control group. This program did not help much in terms of children's aggressive tendency. Okay, so we did not find much prior research saying that SEL program can decrease victimization. But this program, we accidentally found that they have an effect in victimization to calm down the victimization tendency. And this finding is quite new, and it really needs future research to know more about this issue. Okay. So that are the 3 studies we conducted already analyzed in Taiwan. There are so many different SEL programs all over the world. Why is it worthwhile to look at the effect of this one? I think it's mainly because this program has found a way to get the community involved. What would happen if the material are exactly the same, yet not implemented by the community? At least 8 elementary schools in Beijing, China, have adopted VIA's curricula. All the teaching materials and the instruction method remain the same. However, the logistic of community partnership, that's parent training, instructor screening, field supervision, was not possible to achieve. No parents, but all school teachers took the responsibility to implement the curricula. Therefore, the main goal of this study was to examine whether the first thing of VIA's program concerning emotional regulation can be offsite transferred and successfully implemented by school teachers in Beijing. The VIA's team fly from Taiwan to Beijing to offer the school teachers the same kind of instructor training workshops for each theme. And the assessment are also the same, but they didn't seem too afraid that children have fatigue effect. So all assessments were administered in each wave for the first 2 waves. But unfortunately, we have no idea whether they have administered for the later 4 waves, and we did not receive any data after wave 2 from them. In this study, we examined the difference of children's emotional intelligence before and after they have taken the first set of curriculum. There are also intervention group and control group. Their socioeconomic status were surveyed, but here, we simply separated children into high and low SES group by their school district. Okay, what we found, children filled out the emotional intelligence scale. Again, 3 dimensions are as shown here. And what we found is with pre-test score being controlled, children of high SES background in the intervention group. Over here, this is the high SES group, the control group, intervention group, and this is the low SES group. As you can see, the high SES group, the intervention group review a higher post-test score in appraisal and expression of emotion than those in the control group, but the effect was not in the low SES group. Okay, so the current results suggest that the offsite implementation of VIA's SER program in Beijing was only beneficial for a fifth grader from more affluent school district. Two alternative explanations for this finding need to be clarified later if we have any chance. That is, a parent in the SES, high SES group district may be more involved in children's learning materials, and this would be more likely to be affected by and support children's SEL homework, rendering children with higher motivation to reflect on and regulate their emotion. And the second alternative is that the program instructors, although being trained directly by VIA, were never screened nor supervised. Therefore, the effect of SES may be caused by variance of the quality of the program implemented from different school districts. So we really don't know which one is the reason. Okay, that's all for my presentation for today. I'm still coding the problem-solving data with my students online. Hope there is more to come to know the intervention effect of this program. I would like to thank VIA for their contribution to children in Taiwan. Li Rong and her husband Hui Ci, who is a civil engineering professor, were the founding members of Beidou Community Association. And aside from VIA, the community development of Beidou per se is also a very successful story of community development. By the way, they now have programs for younger elementary students and preschoolers, and they are now developing programs for adolescents. And finally, I would like to thank my students' effort and financial support from the Ministry of Science of Technology in Taiwan to make this evaluation study possible. Although today I did not present my current research work in CSU, which I did present in the International Symposium of February in Laurie Student Center. I would like to use this opportunity to thank Fulbright Program, sponsored by the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs of the U.S. Department of State. And I also like to thank Department of Human Development and Family Studies and CSU, who have given me all the convenience to settle in within a very short period of time and let me start the cross-cultural research. And most importantly, I would like to thank Professor Karen Barrett. Without you, this great opportunity of international collaboration will not be possible. This experience has made us all realize that the world is a family. There are many things that we need to deal with together. And this is a picture of 10 million medical masks ready to export to different countries in the world from Taiwan. And 100,000 of them are actually coming to Colorado. So eventually, finally, I'll say thank you for listening. Wish everybody, your loved ones, and your community safe and healthy. And also happy Good Friday and happy Easter. Thank you.
I don't know how to do a round of applause with, sorry, a little audio problem there, with Microsoft Teams, but thank you so much for your time and not only being adaptable to Microsoft Teams, which I know was a lot to ask of you, and we're so fortunate to have had this presentation, but also your adaptability in bringing this particular set of studies to us today. So I know there are probably questions, so I'm going to put out to the audience, would they like to speak? Well, I can start us off and then people can chime in. I'm intrigued by the behavioral change and the delay in improvements in that behavioral concept over the waves. and how the aggression tendencies didn't really significantly change. And I was wondering if you could speak to some of the differences in the items for those two domains, and a little bit more about your thinking about the cascading effects that are happening with behavioral.
Okay. You want to know how we test the aggression items, right? I think the caveat of these two studies is actually the across wave study. I think the caveat is that those are all children's self-report, not from teachers. We also, for example, for the aggression, we also, the self-concept, we didn't have a way to test, to collect data from parents and teachers. But actually, we did collect data from teachers about the same 7 dimensions. But we only, because the teacher has to answer for so many children, so we only ask one question for each dimension in the 7 dimensions of the social adjustment and peer relationship. And that data, we haven't got a chance to analyze yet. We don't know what will happen over there. In the aggression items, the proactive item is saying that I don't like to, if children don't agree with me or they don't follow my order, then I will saying something bad to them or things like that. And for reactive aggression, I will ask them if they are easily intimidated because of the other children and they might fight back or something. And the cascading effect, you were saying, this is off the record. Li Rong told me once that she was walking in the street of Beito area, and she bumped into a high school student. This student talked to her and asked her if you remembered me. And she said, no, I don't remember you. And he said, oh, he was actually in the best high school in Taipei at that time. Well, we have to have an entrance exam to the high school. So he was in the best male high school in Taipei. And he said, I was such a bad student, but I took your classes. And did you remember that when after the class is over, I went to you and I said, you have nothing, you have no influence on me. And he was so defiant at the end of this program. But then he came to her about 3 or 4 years later and saying that, I'm now thinking what you taught us. And I think it's really helpful. And now I start to work hard, like in the 8th or 9th grade, and I eventually can get into a very good school because of that program. So we really don't know. I want to use a very objective way to analyze the data. But the reason why Li Rong has the motivation kept her going with so many years and with so many different programs still developing, it's because of the feedback of this kind of children and parents she bumped into.
So it sounds like you need much more longitudinal research.
Right.
more work.
It's very hard because after they graduated from the 6th grade from the elementary school, they went to different junior high and high school. It's no way to trace them, I think.
We have a question from Barsha. Barsha, would you mind unmuting your audio so that you can ask your question yourself?
Hi, sorry about that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. First, I wanted to say that I really enjoyed the presentation. In our research methods class, we're learning a lot about external and internal validity as well as power. And so I wanted to know about the generalizability of the study, as well as if you could talk a little to the power of the study.
Oh, I think one thing that really concerned us, I only mentioned one thing, is that let me show you, wait a second. Okay, the reason why because in the control group, we only have about 100 children in the control group. So we were really concerned whether we have the power to really make this ALT modeling works. So we hypothesized, because we hypothesized that the control group and the experimental group, they have the same developmental trend. They have the same developmental trajectory in general and before the intervention come in. So we don't have to estimate using these points by the control group, and we can use altogether the control group and the intervention group to estimate these 2 points. But so the control group actually, for the 100 children, they only need to model these two points, and that's sufficient for 100 data sample size. And so I think that the biggest concern for us at that point, when we decide to use this method to see the perturbation factor, is about the size of the control group. And that's how we deal with it. And using control group only predict a 2 point. Okay, that's what I'm thinking about, the concern about the power of the study. That's the main concern of mine.
Got it. Thank you so much for explaining.
Are there any other questions for Dr. Lei? We definitely have gotten, I don't know, Dr. Lei, if you can see on the side, we've gotten a lot of thank yous for your presentation. And I just, again, want to re-emphasize how grateful we are for your time. And also, in addition to all your adaptability for this presentation, being here during this health crisis we're all dealing with, and being able to focus on us today. Thank you again.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
And is it, oh, okay, bye.